substitute Len today.
Much better looking.
That's wicked. That is wicked.
So this morning, our own Dan Weiss will lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And leading us in the four-way test, Jerry Wilkins.
All parents join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth,
Will it be beneficial for all concerned?
and fifth.
Is it fun?
I guess I have to know which side of the room it's on. I just know by heart. All right. So I've got my sheets somewhere. They're going to come up to me magically, and I'm going to know if we have this morning any visiting Rotarians. Well, I don't know if Bill McGregor actually counts as a visiting Rotarian. I think he's a member of So, visiting Rotarians this morning.
And it wasn't a joke. Wow.
Other than our own Bill McGregor from the Lacey Club.
Bill McGregor! Bill McGregor's here? Oh man,
We
that's
do
so
love
cool.
Bill. So, guests of Rotarians. Madeline, do you have a guest?
I do. My friend Tammy Hendrick, who is the vice president of the Washington Food Industry Association. She's thinking about joining us, so be nice. A fun fact about her, as of November, she'll be president of the Washington Food Industry.
And Martin, do you have a guest this morning?
I do. For round number 2, I have Jason Phillips coming back with Inspired Laughing. He's going to be filling out his application.
And Eric, do you have a guest this morning?
Eric is the guest.
Eric's the guest!
Karen has a guest, and they filled it out backwards, but that's okay, we like that. It's exciting. So Karen has a guest, and it's Eric. Welcome, Eric.
Welcome, Eric. I love independence.
Wonderful. So we do take a few minutes here at our meeting and recognize Rotarians who do business with other Rotarians. So we call that our Think Rotary moment. Do we have any Rotarians that have done business with other Rotarians?
So I would just like to a shout out to Jeff Engel. I went to his Big Brunch last Thursday, I think. Yeah. And it was an amazing brunch. So great job, Jeff. And then number 2 on this is the following night went to Boys and Girls Club where Tim Brandon, even though I don't think he's here today, was recognized for his service on the board. So.
Nice.
Anyone else? Yes. I see a hand. Oh, there. Yes.
Megan.
Megan won. I wanted to give a shout out to Ann Larson at Event Support, who's working with together to plan our gala, which is in 3 weeks. So we are having an amazing time working with Ann. We're so grateful for her team and her support.
Fantastic. Thank you. And then Jerry.
I'd like to give a shout out to Shannon Glenn. Shannon was one of the judges at the Lake Fair coronation ceremony last Saturday, and she did a tip-top job. Great court this year.
Thank you so much. Oh, yes, yes.
And I have to give a shout out to our resident, Dr. Matt, who saw me a couple weeks ago on an emergent basis, literally had me follow him from this meeting over to his office to correct some neck issues, and so I appreciate that.
Nice.
Hopefully you don't need to see him.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We love hearing about Rotarians doing business with other Rotarians. So with that, I'm going to let Amanda take it with our guest speaker introduction. Take it away, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda.
So this morning, I get to introduce one of our own, Trudy Soucoup, is going to be presenting on Homes First. So Trudy joined Homes First as chief executive in 2011 and has helped add 24 more homes to the low-income housing market. Trudy came to Homes First from Community Youth Services, where she served as manager of the organizational development. She has over 30 years experience working in nonprofits around the world. Trudy volunteers her time with many mission-driven organizations that include being a member of Gateway Rotary, and then I'm supposed to say even if you don't see her very often, the board of Washington State Employees Credit Union and Washington Nonprofits. A 2008 graduate of Lead Thurston County, Trudy's passion is for working with staff and leaders to grow nonprofits and plan for their future so that our community members can have better, healthier lives. Please welcome our own Trudy.
Hey, Trudy!
Good morning.
Morning.
I know, none of you ever see me. I'm really sorry. Life has been very busy at Homes First.
All right.
Yes, in a good way, right? So we added, 6 new properties this year, in the last year. And guess who gets to go and buy properties? Me!
Wow!
Which is a lot of fun. So I work with lots of different real estate agents in the community. Yes.
Just go ahead. Microphone.
A little closer, yeah. Kind of high up. Yep.
That mic.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Can I talk closer?
Yeah, there you go.
So I know lots of you know me and you know Homes First, but how many people in here think they really know Homes First, what we do? I know Ann does. Yes, Ann does. Okay, yes, thank you. So, oh, not for a minute. Oh, thank you, Megan, for putting on your hand too. Okay, well, I was going to ask some questions, but since none of you know Homes First, I guess I better tell you. So, like Together, and Megan back there, we were Together and Homes First were formed at the same time. There was a group of community members who saw a lot of little things not going right in our community. One of the things was youth weren't being supported the way they wanted to, see them supported, but then also their housing was going away, housing that was affordable to the lowest income people in Thurston County. So these are the folks who are at like 30% area median income. So if you don't, everybody know the term area median income? So you figure out, what's the middle point of income for people in the community. So in Thurston County, it's about $75,000 a year for a family of 4. So these are folks who are making $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, many of them who have jobs, right? These are not people who are just subsidized. And so they formed Homes First, and we do housing in a very different way. We do housing by purchasing pre-existing housing and rehabbing it and renting it out. So it's very different from the build mentality, right? Building is great, but what that does is it puts all the low-income people together in one great big block of apartments, right? So what we do is we scatter the housing throughout Thurston County. So we have 46 properties in Thurston County. You might have a Homes First property as a neighbor in your community, and you won't know it. You won't know that those people are low income. So you can imagine how different the experience is for a home for the people who live there, right? People aren't driving by their home going, hey, look, all the low income people live there. You don't know. Their kids are walking to school with your kids. The kids are playing with the kids in other houses and seeing how other people live. So it's giving people a whole different experience of being a citizen of their community again, when for a long time they've probably not felt like that. So many of our tenants have come from situations where they have not been treated very well by their landlords. They've been stigmatized by being low income. So this removes them from that and allows them to kind of reintegrate back into the community and feel like they're part of our community again. So we have served over 5,000 people in the last 30 years. So like Together, we're 30 years old this year, which is a big deal, right? 30 years of doing affordable housing and being really successful with this model. Lots of people say, oh no, you have to build this low. Well, actually you don't. You can actually recycle your housing. And it keeps it affordable forever. So we never sell the home. We're not different from Habitat. We're not doing home ownership. There's a lot of people in the community who don't have the ability to own a home for a variety of reasons. Whether it's their income is so low they're just never going to get to the point where they can own a home. We have a lot of disabled folks who live in our housing, whether it's a disabled parent who cannot physically have a job, but they still have kids and they need to take care of them, so they need a home. You cannot have a good life without a home, right? Would you agree with that? That's a basic necessity. Food, housing, education, all are really basic things that you need. And without a home, you don't have any chance for a better future. So I'm going to show a short video And then I'm gonna answer questions, because usually I tell people this stuff and they go, but what about, and what about, and what about, right? So I'd be happy to take those questions. I'm gonna show you a short video.
My name's Teresa Nisbet. I'm from Olympia, Washington. I am Karan Monterey.
I'm Peter J. Crowley. I currently live in Olympia. Spent most of my life in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island.
It's interesting because I'm from all over, in my opinion. I was born in Anchorage, but I spent most of my time in Shelton, though. Home, what it means to me is a safe place, a place where I feel safe and where other people that I bring into my home, family and friends, also feel safe.
It's where you feel comfortable. It's where you know you're you. You know, it can be in the middle of a field, but in the concrete level at home is where you feel good inside of a structure.
I've been told home is with my family. Since I don't have my family, it's been me finding people who are family to me to create a home again. In my addiction, I had left behind everything that was good to me. There was a lot of shame and resentment and bitterness and anger. Newly out of treatment, I didn't have anywhere to go. Luckily, I did have my son who had talked his dad, and it was my ex-husband, and had let me move back into their house. And that was 5 miles from the nearest bus stop, and I had a lot of requirements for my treatment, and it soon became a challenge. So I found myself couch surfing, basically, in the same neighborhood, same environment, you know, where I was. So very risky for me to be doing that new in recovery. One of my friends mentioned that they were in this program. So I was like, oh, I need to figure this out so I can get in this program, especially as someone who was couch surfing, realizing that your connections and having somewhere to stay is so important.
It's changed my life greatly. I mean, in 2015, I was really doing fairly well. I mean, I could walk to the bus, go downtown, have lunch, walk around for 3 or 4 hours. The bus is a half mile away, and that's now a long walk.
It's a relief, honestly, because I know, in this area, I would not be able to afford to live here. I was able to transfer to a job that's closer so I can start going to college again. It's so amazing, because I thought I wouldn't be able to go back anytime soon. The Homes First Oxford House gave me everything that I needed to get on my feet. It gave me a fresh start. Yes, there were some requirements. I needed to be able to pay my rent and stay clean. In the beginning, I didn't have my license. I lost my license in my addiction. So the house was close to the bus line, close to all the community resources and things that I needed. So within the 3 years that I lived there, I was employed. I got my driver's license back. I was able to pay off my fines and some of the tickets. So I was able to get my credit back, and I also had my family back and some great friends that I met while living in that house. Homes First is doing some amazing things. Affordable, low-income housing is really what's needed in this community. And so what Homes First has done is help provide safe, affordable, low-income housing. They're, providing a solution to a very needed cause that we have going on right now.
So those 3 tenants are very different people in very different stages of their life, and we approach what we do with them very differently, because we want to try to help each person as an individual rather than say, well, this is what everybody needs and everybody's going to get the same thing. One of the things that we do really well is we do shared housing. So we can't do this kind of work without partners in the community, because really what we are is a property manager. But we're a nonprofit property manager that's working from a mission point of view. So what we do is we buy the houses and we rehab them and we rent them out, but then we partner with other community members, and it can be for-profit and it can be non-profit, to make sure that our tenants get what they need in the housing. So that's how we support our tenants. So we're not social service providers. We own housing, but we make sure our tenants get the services they need by connecting them. We have a tenant navigator who, when our tenants start having a little trouble, maybe their rent was late, or maybe they're, we go into their house to do an inspection and we see things don't look quite right, then we can say, hey, it looks like you're having trouble. How can we help you get what you need to be successful? So we do Oxford houses, which are clean and sober living. We partner with a program called Oxford House International. We have 5 big old Victorian homes in the community. If you see some of those big old Victorian homes in Olympia and Lacey, you may go, that could be an Oxford house. 10 or 12 people share these houses. Makes it affordable for them. They're each paying maybe $200, $300 a month to be in that house. We do homes for adults with developmental disabilities. Again, really challenging. They get about $730 a month to live on. You cannot afford to live, you can't even afford to be in a group home that way, right? So we rent out to the individual adults with developmental disabilities, and then they bring their service provider in. So that makes it more affordable for them. We do shared housing with community youth services. So again, these youth who are exiting foster care or they're homeless, community youth services provides the program for them, and we provide the home. So they share, 3 or 4 kids share a home. We have a mental health shared home. People who are exiting Western State Hospital cannot leave the hospital if they don't have a place in the community to live. And you don't want them living on the street, right? That's not going to be very good for their mental health. So we do shared housing for mental health. We're about to do some shared housing in Mason County with the Mason Therapeutic Court System. So we do lots of kind of innovative stuff. And then we have single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. We've got a 7-plex and an 8-plex, which are kind of weird. Yeah, I know a lot. But they're old properties that were built years ago, and so nobody else wanted them, so we said, well, make them. So, building and maintaining houses, we say build, but it's really providing, right? Supporting our tenants, and through that, it's creating a safer community for everyone. Everyone needs to be in a home of some kind, right? Not living on the streets, not living under a bridge. And so we give people the opportunity to not only get off the street, but also stay away from the street. So we get folks before they become homeless and give them an opportunity to have something they can afford to live in. Most people become homeless because they can't pay their rent. Why can't they pay their rent? They don't have enough money. So I'm now ready for questions. Megan, thank you, my friend Megan.
What's the intake look like, and what's the timeline? Like, if someone needed service today,
right,
would they call you, or would they show up on your doorstep, and how would that look, and how long would that take?
So Megan's asking about the intake. How do people get into the housing, and how long does it take? So the unfortunate part for Homes First is that the only way we can provide more housing is to buy more homes. So to provide more homes, we actually have to have more money to buy a house. So the way we do that is we use public funding. So you may have heard of community development block grants. Well, there's lots of different little federal funding sources. It starts at the feds, comes down to the states, comes down to the county, goes out to the cities, right? So we receive that funding. We also receive funding from other sources, and we match that with a mortgage, which OnlyFed has been our mortgage provider since day one. For 30 years, they have provided mortgages on every single property we bought. And so that also means that all of our tenants have to pay rent. Right? This isn't free housing, because we have a mortgage. We have to pay the mortgage on every house. So somebody comes to us, often our response is, I'm sorry, we don't have a place for you to live right now, which really sucks. Right? It's heartbreaking for everyone in our office. We turn away more than 800 requests every year for people to have a home. And so then they're searching, where can we buy another home? How can we have more people in our homes? So people end up on a list. It's an email list. As soon as we have an opening, we send out an email that says, hey, we've got an opening, here's how you qualified it for this, right? There's also a program in the county called coordinated entry. So what we usually do is say, we don't have a place, why don't you go to coordinated entry and see if they can help you find another place somewhere else. So yeah, it's not great news. The 250 people we're serving right now have a home, and we're always looking to serve more people. So, any other questions? Oh, we got a whole bunch. Okay.
Are they leases or rents? Is it month to month or year to year?
Starts out a year lease. Because we get federal funds, we are required to give everyone the first year on a lease, and then it goes month to month.
How do you choose if you have too many applicants and you only have so much space? And are you using the criteria of the coordinated entry program or something different?
So no, we're not using the coordinated entry criteria, we're using HUD's criteria. So we're not looking necessarily at the most vulnerable, we're looking at the people who qualify for the house. So there's different qualifications. One is you match, the size of your family matches the number of rooms in the apartment or in the house, right? So we're not gonna put a single person into a 3-bedroom house. Just doesn't make sense for our community to do that. We also have to charge rent. So if somebody has 0 income, we can't have them in a house. It's just, so there's other programs in the community who help people who have 0 income. We're not one of them. Gary.
So are all your homes 100% owned by Homes First, or can you have co-ownership with some donor, if you will?
That's an awesome question, Jerry. Thank you. So out of our 46 houses, we own outright 42. We also manage some houses for the city of Lacey, which they own the house, but they don't want to sell it because they are going to redevelop the land in the future, but they also don't want it to sit empty. So we manage houses for them. We manage houses for the city of Tumwater, same idea. They own houses that are on land that will be redeveloped in the future. 3 years ago, we had been, for 10 years, we had been managing a home for a woman who owned the home, but didn't need to live in the home. And she wanted it to be an Oxford house, but she didn't want to manage it. So we managed that for her for 10 years, and then she donated it to us 4 years ago, which was really nice. It wasn't an expectation at all, but we can't partner like that with people. So if somebody has a home, and we're doing some outreach right now around adults with developmental disabilities, especially for families who maybe are aging and they're thinking, what's going to happen to my kid? What's going to happen to my kid when I die, right? So we potentially could partner with them. They could have their child stay in their home, and they're going to be getting services, right? There's no way an adult with developmental disabilities can stay alone in the house. So then we can match them with other tenants who can come in and help them relieve some of the rent burden. But yeah, we're open to every possibility. We could, make it work, because the idea is to get people into housing, right? So we're really flexible, very creative with what we do. Thank you. Yes?
Is your model meant to be more of a transitional model or more of a permanent solution?
It is whatever the tenants need. So Shannon's question, is our model a transitional model or a permanent housing model? So it can be whatever the tenant needs. So if a tenant just needs a place for a year and then they transition on, that's perfectly fine. But we've had tenants who lived with us for 27 years. In fact, our longest serving tenant died 2 years ago in his home that he'd lived there for 27 years. But it was a Homes First home. So he never had to worry that he was going to be kicked out onto the street. He had a home that was forever. So it all depends. We try to meet each tenant where they are and help them succeed how they want to succeed, not how we think they should succeed. Thank you.
She's a little bit taller than me. So as part of our literacy program, one of the things we do is have our fair sign a gift, and then we donate that book to the Pleasant Glade Elementary Library. And in honor of our speaker today, the book we've chosen is Maya Lynn, which architect is the theme. So we're really reaching a little bit, but not too much, because homes, architect, we've got it to work. So there you go. There's our book. Thank you again, Trudy. Appreciate it so much. So for our classification talk this morning, we have our very own Lauren Bain. So Lauren, if you'd like to come up and provide your classification talk.
Yay, Lauren. Get right on.
So can I see over it?
Well,
okay.
That's always the hard part.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Bean. This is my very first classification talk. I joined the club in So I gave it my best shot, and here we go. So I grew up in Wyoming. I moved to Olympia 15 years ago. I have an amazing family. Unfortunately, none of them live here. We're actually spread from Honolulu to Washington, D.C., and everywhere in between. But they're a large family and lots of little families because my parents were divorced. But in the top right-hand corner, that's 4 generations of trouble. My mom, my grandma, me, and my daughter. And then in the opposite corner is me fishing with that grandma. She's my favorite grandma and always has been. The guy with the fish, that's my dad. He caught that. It's a giant red fish off the coast of Louisiana, and I just love this picture of him because he's so happy. These little lovely ladies are me and my sisters as flower girls for my parents' wedding in 1991, my dad and my stepmom, and then that's us in the middle on the top about 10, 12 years later. And this little sweetheart is my daughter, Finley. She'll be 3 in a couple weeks, and she's the light of my life. So, growing up in Wyoming, I'm a cowgirl for a number of reasons. I'm an alumni from the University of Wyoming, go Pokes. And I've been bucked off a horse, which automatically qualifies you as a cowgirl in case you didn't know that. And this is me in my summer job in college with my friend Billy the Kid. Oops, this side, sorry. I worked as a saloon girl and a character actor at a living history park in Laramie, Wyoming, so really great job. In contrast to that, I'm also a gooey duck. I got my master's in public administration from the Evergreen State College last June. So I'm working on passing down my cowgirl roots to this little sweetheart. I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Okay, so one of my biggest passions is baseball. My great-grandma was a Cubs fan, so she's passed that down to my grandma, my mom, and to me, and hopefully to Finley. Her daddy wants her to be a Dodgers fan though, so it's our internal battle. I've been to 8 major league parks. So this is me with my mom at Coors Field. In the middle is with my sister and my daughter at Safeco. I've been to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. In the bottom corner here is we took my grandma to Miller Park to a Cubs game for her 90th birthday, which was awesome. And I've also been to the original Busch Stadium, Citi Field in Queens, Target Field, and of course the best, Wrigley Field. So it's really teeny tiny, but I am in that picture. And then this one is of Finley's first game at Cheney Stadium in Tacoma. Sorry. So I got to travel to a lot of these places because I'm a participant in the American Public Works Association. That's a trade organization for public works professionals. And I participate in the national organization as well as our Washington State chapter. I'm an officer in the Washington State chapter, and I'll be president of that organization in 2022. I have worked in public works for 15 years. I started as a marketing professional for a couple of consulting firms here locally. And then I spent 8 years with Pierce County, ultimately as the airport and ferry administrator, which is a very challenging job, but as you can see here, lots of great photo ops. And now I'm back here in Thurston County working as a business development director for an engineering consulting firm called Skillings. We do road projects, sewer and water projects, those kinds of things. And I love being back in Thurston County, being a part of this community again, not only to live here, but to work here as well. And I love being a public works professional and being a part of that industry. And through APWA, we get to promote the work that these people do quietly in the background to support the infrastructure that we need to be a civilized society. So when you're thinking about Rotary shout outs, shout out to your public works people, because you wouldn't have gotten here today. So with that, I just want to say thank you for listening to a little bit about me, and cheers.
Thanks. Did you just tell us to hit the road? Is that what you said?
That was awesome. Classifications are like one of my favorite things. Get to know our fellow Rotarians. So this morning we have some announcements, because there's always something exciting going on at Gateway Rotary. So to kick us off, Peggy Williams, do you have something to tell us about? Is there a little something happening?
There is. I'm here for Lori because she is on a road trip with her son, taking him to pilot training, right?
Yep.
Yay! But anyways, I'm here to remind you that we have a Dr. Seuss social coming up on March 5th, so put it on your calendars. We are asking you to bring a book. It's not very hard. All you do is have to go buy one on Amazon and it delivers right to your door. And they're really wanting some board books so that people can use them with younger children. My last daughter ripped up several books, so those board books really come in handy with young ones, and it is at the Cider Barrel, so put it on your calendars.
All right.
Fantastic. And then we have a little something social happening, don't we? Our social committee, maybe Mary would like to tell us about that. So Mary Louise, I'm gonna give her a second to get up here. She's gotta get up her stool. And she's gonna come tell us about the social that will be happening, I believe, at her home. And that's tomorrow. I know, that was your little, I know, I just basically gave her announcement, but I'm gonna let her give it too.
Okay, so the social is from 4 to 7 tomorrow. Everybody should have received an email with the address and the gate code to get into the community. And for those that signed up for CPR training, that will be from 5 to 6 p.m. But anybody can come from 4 to 7 and just come and enjoy.
All right.
Thanks so much. And Megan, do you want to tell us about bowling? It hasn't happened yet, right? No, it's still coming up.
Yes.
All right.
Next month. Good morning, Rotarians. I'm still seeking 2 folks to join Dr. Heidi and I on our Gateway Club bowling team to support local youth programs around Thurston County. This is a bowling event that the Yelm Rotary Club holds twice a year, I believe. So this is their spring bowling event. It's $25 per person. All that money goes to support youth programs. It is Tuesday, March 31st at 6 p.m. Again, $25 per person. There's going to be raffle prizes, door prizes, and a good time. And you don't have to be a good bowler. I'm not a good bowler. I'm good at Wii bowling. So I'm hoping that will help me out, but probably not. So let me know if you're interested. Again, we need 2 people for Dr. Heidi and I's team, and we can also form another team of 4 if there is interest. So shoot me an email, and I will also send out all these details over email to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Megan. And that will be a good time. If you've never bowled out at Prairie Lanes in Yelm, it's kind of awesome. They have a disco ball. I mean, what bowling alley is that? Seriously, that place is awesome.
Nice.
So, I know, it's like a skating rink. All right, and I think we have one more announcement with our very own Nathan McGee to tell us something about the youth that are involved with Rotary.
Nathan.
So I mentioned last week we have needs for 4 chaperones. We got those covered. We actually forgot the person that's going to help out transport Terrence. You see him at events when you go there. So I need one more person to help out with that. And then also to mark your calendar for April, they're doing a youth job fair, and they're looking for a couple other professionals to help like they did last year. Specifically, they would like a firefighter, and we're trying to get a marine biologist. If you know anybody that might be interested in that field, just shoot me a note and I'll coordinate the dates and times and everything with you. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so much. And so one of the things that Nathan was talking about was our Paul Harris dinner, and that's going to be held on March 19th over at the Hotel RL. and you can still register at paulharrisdinner.com if you have not done so. We want to have a big rowdy table like we always do, maybe a couple, that'd be great. And then start thinking about the Rotary District Conference. That's going to be May 14th through the 16th up in Victoria. So please plan on attending if you can. And also Wednesday, June 24th. Do you know what happens? That's the installation dinner. That's when we kick Lynn out and I'm in charge. So it's gonna be fun. I didn't say that. Oh wait, we were on television. All right. So now everybody knows. It will be wonderful. That's when we honor the outgoing board and we inaugurate the incoming board. That's what I said. So do please plan on attending. Get signed up and mark it on your calendar. Also today at 11, Gateway Rotary is going to be recognized as a finalist for one of the leaders for goodwill in our community at the Lacey South Sound Business Awards Luncheon out at Indian Summer. So if you have an opportunity to attend, I think we have a couple of tables that are almost filled, maybe pretty close to being filled. So we'll be there, and if you have an opportunity to come, we'd love to have you join us. So that will be again today at 11 o'clock. So at this point, we're going to say goodbye to everybody on our live feed. Bye-bye, everyone. And we're going to welcome up Madeline, our sergeant at